Hey everyone, today we are in John chapter 19 in our 90 days with Jesus, and this is a incredibly powerful chapter within the Gospels. What we saw yesterday is that Jesus has been betrayed, he's been arrested, he's been put on trial, all because he claimed he was the Messiah. He claimed he was the true king, despite the fact that there was another Jewish king named Herod. He claims that he is the true king and the one who is even greater than Caesar, the one greater than the Roman emperor. He also claimed that he was better and more important than the temple. And the most audacious claim is that he also claimed that he was God in the flesh. And so the people of God, man, they're not liking this. And it challenges their ideas of who God is and what does it mean to be the people of God. And through a lot of scheming and back channel conversations and things like that, Jesus gets arrested. He puts on trial. He gets brought before the Roman governor with these false charges. And he has this conversation that we saw yesterday. But in the conversation, what we see is Jesus could easily walk away from this. Even the Roman governor knows that this is an innocent man. And it's Jesus who is the one who has the authority. And it's Jesus the one who is in control of his own fate. And yet he allows things to proceed toward his own death. He knows he's going to die. But the Roman governor, Pilate, he continues to try to get Jesus off. He knows he's an innocent man. He doesn't want innocent blood on his hands, but he can't stop. Because now the matter becomes that if he tries to free Jesus, he'll be killed instead. And so while the people of God start crying out, crucified, Pilate has no choice. And he orders Jesus to be crucified. The real twist of fate is that while Jesus proclaimed himself to be the true king, the one that everyone thought was going to defeat Rome, and in his perspective, he was viewing it as he has come to defeat the evil that was behind Rome, the evil that's in all of our hearts. And so while the people reject Jesus as their king because he wasn't meeting their expectations, he wasn't doing what they wanted him to do, Rome points to Jesus and says, "Now this was truly your king." They put a sign above his head where everyone can see it in any language of the day, where it's being declared, here's why we're killing Jesus. Because he was the Messiah, or he claimed to be. And as Jesus is on this cross, suffering and dying, his final words are to shout out a phrase called tetelestai. In our English Bibles, we translate it as the phrase, "It is finished." And this kind of encompasses everything that Jesus viewed of his ministry, even of his own death. That in him, God was bringing all the pain, all the brokenness, all the failures, all of our sin. He was bringing it all to its conclusion by having the Messiah die for our sins. And so Jesus' last words as he points at all the corruption, all of the evil around him, he says, this is now going to have an end in him. Because what Jesus viewed his death was the end of an old way. And as we're going to see tomorrow and the next day with his resurrection, it's the beginning of a new way. And here's where this is really encouraging to us. Because maybe today, or maybe this week, or recently, man, you've gone through something. You've made some mistakes. You've gone through some old patterns. You find yourself, you're like, man, here's the Jesus way, but I've not been walking it. Man, I played around with a different way, an old way, a way of self-destruction, a way that is all about self-centeredness and self-pleasure, and it has destroyed a little bit more of who I am. It's destroyed a little bit of the things around me. We still see this in this world, but what Jesus proclaimed on his death was that this doesn't have to be the story anymore. That he has declared an end to this. And a new beginning for us. And this is where it's really helpful, because we can step into our own "it is finished" stories in Jesus. And because of Jesus, we can look at the things in our life that just tear us down, and we can say, you know what? Jesus declared this is finished. I'm going to live in the new way that Jesus has for me. Because Jesus viewed it as, man, the path that humanity was on was towards its own destruction. But that in him, in this moment, the possibility of our restoration and our redemption and our freedom is now at hand, because he paid the price for us, because he had the power and the authority to step into our mess and to say, that is finished. Here's a new way. And I hope that's encouragement for you, because we still tempt ourselves and slip back into some of this old ways, but we can still stop and be able to say, you know what? Jesus said this is finished. I'm not going to go near it anymore. He said it's finished. He has the authority. He said it is dead, that there's no possible good future in this over here. And I'm going to follow Jesus. I'm going to follow his way. I hope that's encouragement for you today. That Jesus has the capability, the authority, and the power to point to the thing in your life, and you know what that thing is, and say, it is finished. Will you say the same and follow him?